Okay. Hi everyone. It's Chanel here. This is Chanel's channel. Officially.
Yay! Finally, it's been years.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get her to do this, so happy it's finally happening.
Yeah. This is my best friend Dianne.
Hey,
She's the one person. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
you want me to introduce
Yeah.
myself? Hey y'all, my name is Dianne. On the podcast Ignorant Education.
Wait, what podcast?
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am also known as Miss Analytics of the podcast Ignorant Education, where we just talk about all the things that the classroom doesn't tell you. So, what are the keys to success in living life that you can't find in textbooks, you can't find within the four walls of a building? So, that's a cool podcast. Whenever you get a chance, it's available anywhere you find podcasts, including YouTube. We do have a visual on Ignorant Education. So Google us everywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying so hard not to get into like a podcast mode.
I know.
I feel like it's a very different space, like a podcast space where you automatically feel like an interviewer of, compared to like YouTube. At least in my mind, YouTube feels more like a conversational space.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, they're both conversational spaces,
but
the conversations and the structure of them are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying my best not to get into like the
podcast. I mean, you could do a little bit of that if you want to give them background of our relationship.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
But I really feel like I'm podcasting right now.
Dang.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Let's start there. When did we meet?
We met 7th grade.
Yeah, Dianne didn't like me though.
I thought she was insane. I was like, who is this crazy girl? A little context. Not insane in the like mental, issues kind of way. Just like, wow, this girl is a loose cannon. Let me be aware
of
she didn't know.
I was being set up.
You know what? We actually formed a relationship because we both knew her cousin Brianna.
Oh,
I went to school with her cousin Brianna in elementary school. So our connection even starts from like 1st grade, which is crazy. But I never met her then. I knew her cousin, friends with her cousin.
That is the reason why we're friends.
Yeah. That's really how it started. Because I don't know if we would have clicked if we didn't have that connection.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
I just thought about that.
I totally forgot.
But yeah, shout out to you, Brianna.
Yeah.
So when I transitioned from elementary school to the middle school and high school we went to, I don't know how we knew that we both knew Brianna. That's what's weird about it. But we met in 7th grade. We were in the same class together.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a rough year for you.
It was. 7th grade was rough for me.
So I only saw it as an outsider looking in. And what I was seeing was a lot of craziness, and I didn't want to be a part of that.
I was being set up. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into it because it was a very emotional time for me.
I'm not even laughing.
But I was bullied, like, and the thing is that like now when people, I don't know if I should say this. But sometimes I feel like when people talk about bullying, it seems very intense. Yeah, trigger warning. Mm-hmm. It seems very intense to the point where people like contemplate living life.
Right.
They're like, do I want to live life because this person is bullying me?
Right. But even back then, I remember you having conversations with me about that. Like,
what, ending my life?
Not ending it, but you were like, sometimes you do think about it, which I feel like occasionally it comes. Maybe I'm remembering.
This is a whole different conversation.
I know, we went back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. Every so often you would say that, but like.
I can't remember such a thing,
which is great.
Yeah, because the thing is, I remember being in my room like crying, looking into the mirror, listening to
Taylor
Swift.
More like being
this life is so hard.
Yeah, maybe along those aspects. I want to go so far to say that.
Yeah,
like necessarily suicidal thoughts or anything like that.
Yeah, but like I felt like my bullying was intense, but I was just like, this is regular. Like everyone gets bullied. But there was a moment I was like locked outside of my school building. Like the girls locked me out the building.
What?
There was a knife pulled out on me.
What?
Yeah, you don't know any of this stuff?
I remember something like that. They do stuff in the trains, on the tracks. I remember that.
They used to take my hat and throw it around the train station. It got
we're from New York.
Yeah,
so
we're from New York City. You'll see the location.
With all the rats.
Exactly. And it got so bad that we were on like, I think it was like 125th Street in New York, in Harlem. Ooh. And they stopped the train. There was people on the platform. They was like what's happening? Like they stopped the train and everything. They was like, we gotta call someone. And the lady, like, she was like, you need to call your parents right now.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're like, you need to call your parents right now. And that's the reason why my mom came to the school. All their parents came to the school. And, like, it was a very serious thing. And they just, like, after that conversation we had with the principal and everything, they just stopped talking to me. Like, they just treated me like I was, like they just stopped talking to me. And that's all I wanted. I just didn't want to be bothered anymore.
See, I didn't know that's how that situation ended for you.
Like, I don't think I'm a secretive person. But, like, if you don't ask, like, I never tell.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just assumed you grew apart or you were finally finished with them. And you just drifted away?
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was like had a discussion.
Yeah, no, there was a discussion. Because the thing is that I went to school with all the kids that were bullying me.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I went to elementary school with all the kids that bullied me. We went from elementary school to middle school together.
Yeah.
And we pretty much, like, because we all came from the same place, we were all in the same group because our parents knew each other. They was like, oh, this will be your group of friends. Because we're also, like going from elementary school to middle school and, like, in New York City, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So at least you know, like, oh, these are my people.
Right.
But then for some reason, all those people stuck together, and I was the outsider. They made new friends, and then all decided to gang up on me and bully me. And this is my side of the story. I don't know, maybe on the other side of the story, maybe I did something I don't know about.
But that still doesn't warrant or justify any type of,
Yeah. They started calling me Gerbil. And I thought it was a nickname. I was like, oh, they think I'm like a pet.
No, they didn't think that. You should know.
They didn't think I'm a pet.
Yikes.
Yeah. That's why when they threw my hat with the rats, they was like, that's where you
That's hilarious and mean and all the things. Jeez. Yeah. So we're going down the friendship conversation because we had a different topic planned, but wherever the conversation took us. Yeah, and for context for me, we knew each other in 7th grade, but we weren't friends because I transitioned to 7th grade with people I knew from elementary school. So I stayed with the people I knew.
Yeah. Okay.
Which had its own situation too.
Yeah, because you also drifted apart.
Yeah, so one thing I think when you're not in the same class as someone, moving from like spending every day in the same classroom with the same people and going to a new school where you transition to being in a classroom with different people that you never met, I think in those situations, you just gain new friendships. You have less to talk about because you're not experiencing the same things at every moment. So we definitely did hang out like in the lunchroom, like they were my lunch group. But one particular person that I started kind of transitioning over to the new school with, she ended up like stealing from my family, like money from my family. Yeah. And what's crazy is that she always had an issue of stealing in our grade, but I never spoke about it with my mom because it was none of my business. I'm a very like mind my own business type of person for the most part. And it didn't click in my 7th grade mind that of course that's a behavior that if it's not corrected transitions over to the next grade if no one kind of holds you accountable. So she had a history of stealing things in elementary school. But when we went to middle school, it was just like, oh, here's a friend whose parents know each other, you have similar experience of going to the same elementary school. So why not be together and like travel together on the train? That was the first time, because my elementary school was so close to my house, that was the first time. Middle school was the first time I had to take the train to a whole new borough. Like that was all new experiences. So of course my parents, trying to think about my safety, was like, okay, we'll take turns. My parents will take turns driving this particular former friend over to the school, and her parent would do the same. And one time she was just waiting at my house for her parent to pick her up, and my mom had money in the house, realized money was missing, had to call her mom and the whole thing, and it was just like, let's scrap that. And what's funny is that we weren't really close like that in elementary school. Like, she wasn't my best friend in elementary school. My best friend ended up going to another school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I guess that was the first time you realize that you do form friends out of convenience for certain seasons of life. And then when you get older, you start forming friends out of similar values, out of similar purposes, similar perspectives of life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was like my first experience of like, actually you can't invite everyone to your home, into your family for that type of access. Because not everyone can be trusted with it. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
friendships.
Yeah.
So what would you say we officially became friends?
I would say in 9th or 10th grade when we started taking Mr. Murphy's class together.
I would say 9th grade.
Okay, 9th grade, because the things that we decided together to take a P Euro.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like,
it
was
we
official.
Friends.
Yeah, it was
friends.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was 9th grade year was the first year we separated from everyone from like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, because we're out of middle school now.
Yeah.
And we were the people who now knew each other going into the next stage of life.
Because our schedules were identical.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We had identical schedules. So we formed a friendship out of convenience.
We definitely did.
Yeah. Because we didn't really talk. And you were somebody I knew from like my previous... Because we were in the same class in middle school.
Yeah, we were in the same class in 7th grade. And then not in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I still hung out with those people from elementary school at that time. And then 9th grade, we were just like, they were just like schedules identical.
Yeah.
Become friends for life. No.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, that's what happened.
Yeah. And then also, I feel like we have a very similar background, too.
Yeah.
Like, both our families are Jamaican. Mm-hmm. So, like, this was one thing. We both grew up in the same faith, which is what this video was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
So we have just a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
And then that was pretty much it. And I think also our ideas and styles of like being students too.
Yeah.
Like we were good students. Like we're on the honor roll. We took similar classes, like the advanced courses and stuff. So
yeah,
it was pretty easy to click.
Yeah.
And then another big thing is that we also lived in the same direction.
True.
So it was
travel buddies.
It was a real convenience.
Yeah.
It's like, you live in the Bronx? I live in the Bronx. Let's go.
And around similar stops too. So it's like you're really taking the journey together.
Every single day.
For context, our ride to school every day was like an hour train ride. Yeah. I know that sounds crazy to some people who live in other states and
that's regular.
That's a regular thing
for a New Yorker.
So of course, in those hour train rides, we're having like in-depth conversations. As in-depth as you can get as a teenager, but like having conversations about school and life and family and all of that. So you have no choice but to build a bond when you spend that much time together. And
we're talking about an hour going and an hour coming back.
Yeah, so that's 2 hours.
That's just 2 hours of just Chanel and Dianne time.
And then we had the same schedule. So
exactly.
Like, okay, I'm seeing you.
How did we not hate each other?
I think because we're very easygoing personalities.
Yeah, we're great people.
Yeah, we are. We have our flaws, but we're great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story of our friendship.
Wow. I haven't thought of it.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought of it. It was like, Diane's my best friend. That makes sense. Like, I don't remember exactly the moment. It's like,
this is it. Yeah, because like I said, I thought she was crazy. So I was like, no, she's sane. Them people were crazy.
Yeah.
Or those situations caused you to react that way.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was justifiable. So it was like, okay.
Thank you for accepting me.
Of course. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So then I guess my question is kind of, what is your definition of friendship? Like, what makes someone a friend of convenience compared to like a friend that, I don't know, you would like call if you were in a situation, or you would call for help, or someone you would invite over for like a holiday party?
Which is how one of our friendships kind of dissipated, because there was that like lack of invitation to family gatherings and things like that. So I think there are levels to friendship. This is a new perspective I've gained even now, because I'm even working on trying to be a better friend, trying to be more present and intentional about the people in my life and what they need, and how I can help in their development and growth in life. But I think there's levels to friendships. I would say I would define a friend as someone who is there to support you at a particular stage of your life. And for some people, that could be a lifetime. For some people, that can be a moment. And I think the difference between a friendship and a colleague or an acquaintance is the level of access they get into your personal life. So that can vary in friendship. So say you have the party friend, they're getting access to seeing you in the party phase, which is still a vulnerable state because, you know, drinking can be involved in so many other things. And safety. And it's like that's the person you rely on to kind of keep you safe when you're in those gatherings. So that's a particular level of access, and I'm not going to deny that that's not important. But then you go all the way to the next spectrum where you get the friends that you tell like some of your deepest, darkest secrets to, or the friends that like push you to growth and development. So I think that's like the range of access people can get, and in friendships particularly. And then everything in the middle is like a different level of friend. For me, it's funny because I had this conversation with one of the guys we went to school with, and he was like, this guy in our class that we went to school with, he thought you were friends with him. And I was now it's not crazy.
My mom in the back like, ooh.
He was like, yeah, you know, he would have considered you a friend. And I was like, but we never really had conversations like that. Like, we were literally just, like, I knew who he was. We had conversations in class, but I wouldn't consider him a friend. He didn't get any level of access into who I was outside of being a student in whatever classes we had. So it was just like, yeah, that's not how I define friendship. Like, for me, friendship is giving you a lens into my life that not everyone kind of has that. Yeah, kind of has that access to.
My mom in the back add her little 2 cents.
I'm sorry. I really enjoyed this. So I can see, because I can't see Dianne. And I'm really admiring what she's saying. So
thanks.
It's real. I like it.
Thanks.
This is not being cut out.
This is hilarious. I love it. But yeah, that's how I define friendship. So I think the levels for me are like the party friend who's like the friend to be around, the friend who you can like spill all your guts to, like who allows you to just be you.
Yeah. So
who can you show your humanity to? And then I guess the next level for me would be the person who's holding me accountable. And of course there's ranges even in between those, but I think those are like the 3 big levels of like life. Yeah. And I think there's a need for all of them, because you need the friend you can call who's just gonna let you forget about everything, you're just gonna have a good time. There's the friend that you can feel talk to and not feel judged. I think that's so important too. And then there's the friend who's going to be like, you're actually acting out of character. Like, you're not the type of person to do that. Like, I know who you are. And I think friends, of course, can blur the lines and be all 3. But yeah, I think those are like levels of friendship for me. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is like a newfound thing I just discovered. So like I've been kind of working on like self-development for the past 2 years. I think everyone has in the pandemic, honestly. It's like you have so much time to just be with your thoughts. And the type of person I'm trying to develop myself so that I can be the best person for the people around me and the people I'm called to serve. And I think that's very important, and I think it starts with me. So like, this is all information. I'm just like, yes, I believe this to be true. So how can I implement this in my life?
Yeah.
What about you? How would you define friendship?
I think it's still something that I'm also working on, like finding like what that definition is to me. Because it always changes, especially like depending on the different steps, the different levels, the different, no, these are not the words I want, the different avenues, the different places you are in life.
Oh, yeah, like stages?
Stages, that's the word, stages.
Different stages.
Yeah, depending on the different stages you are in life, I think there's different friends that you need.
Definitely.
And also, like, your friends also go through certain stages, so sometimes y'all move through those stages together. Yeah. Or sometimes one friend will just be back here while somebody else is going there. And it'll switch and go back and forth all the time. Mm-hmm. So I think the definition also keeps evolving with that. So for me, I think friendship has been such a big thing, and I say this because of how I just seen my mom and her friendships. I just realized like, yes, Molly, she's in the back. Like I just realized like your family, you can't really choose them. Yeah. You just gotta stuck with them. Like sometimes they're amazing, sometimes they're crazy. Yeah. But the thing is that with friendships, like you get to choose that family, and I think like that choice is so important. So I've always take friendships really important. Really, like, they're super valuable to me. And I remember when I was younger, like, I had this thing, like, if I knew you and if I was telling a story to someone, I'm like, yeah, my friend who did this. And it could be a person I just met once in my life. And I forgot who it was. It was like, this person's not your friend. Like, they're an associate, but, like, and, like, if you keep saying that this is your friend, then you put them on a certain status that they don't truly, they don't hold. Yeah. And that's when you kind of also realize, like, words mean things, and saying certain things to certain people also hold something to them. Yeah. So this also made me put, like, what is friendship, like, kind of into context. Then another thing I used to do was, like, oh, this is my best friend. And then as soon as I say my best friend, there's, like, this expectation that I put on the person and I put on myself to, like, live up to that expectation. And only some people can hold the title as best friend because there's only so much you could do. So I was like, I can only have 2 to 3 best friends, no more. It's energy. But then as you move throughout life, I'm trying to hold on to these 3 people and keep them in this position. But sometimes you go out of that friendship, and it's not a bad thing. True. It's just like sometimes life just happens, and that person just can't take up the same space in your life, and you can't take up that same space in their life. Yeah. So also like figuring out like what that means. And then I think now I'm trying to. I know I called you my best friend because you are. I did. But I really try.
You're my best friend.
Yeah. 1 second.
Oh gosh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to like not hold
people to that expectation.
Yes, like I don't want to stronghold up into that expectation. Like I don't want you to feel like, oh, like if I'm not 100% at my best at being the best friend, then like I don't deserve this title. Because sometimes I'm not in the mental capacity to give my 100% at this time for you. Yeah. And I think also understanding the boundaries you have within all relationships, but especially in friendships, is so important. So my question to you, Diane, is like, what boundaries do you believe are important in a friendship, and how do you set them?
Something I'm still working through. So
Same.
I think everyone has trouble with boundaries. That's a good question. I really have to think this through. So, boundaries for friendships.
Mommy wants us to pause.
No. Yeah. No, I know I'm not.